In the early 1900s, Boley, Oklahoma became an all-black town, a place where black people created a community of their own, away from persecution and racial discrimination after slavery.
While the town thrived, they didn't have the same resources as white communities to educate their children. This was a problem across the rural South until a friendship began between a generous businessman and a prominent black educator. News on 6's Katie Eastman introduces us to the people working to preserve the history of schools that once stood all across the state in this Oklahoma Zone original.
In a place where people grow up and get out.
Come on.
Amanda Bradford came back.
I guess there is music. I moved back maybe about 4 to 5 years ago.
Every day, the single mom takes a few dirt roads on her 30-minute drive to get her daughter to school.
Like, if you have pavement, you have a luxury, okay?
Schools in Boley, Oklahoma closed about a decade ago.
Come in.
Not enough kids to keep them open.
Ready?
But more than 100 years ago, when the town was established, there were plenty of kids, but no proper schools.
And that's where, you know, the Rosenwald Schools came into play.
After a conversation with Booker T. Washington, Jewish philanthropist Julius Rosenwald created the Rural School Building Program to serve severely underfunded black schools in the segregated South.
I started learning history that I didn't even know about my own community. And it's the history that made me want to stay.
End of messages.
She now works as the Boley town clerk.
I've learned there's nothing I can't do. There's nothing. I'm here for all the challenges.
Here, Amanda discovered her passion for preservation.
It's very exciting.
Well, we had 198 facilities here.
As the Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer, Linda Ozan and her team are documenting the Rosenwald schools across the state.
Honestly, it comes down to we don't do a good job of preserving the history of minority communities, and we need to be better about it. Obviously, no longer in use.
The search for where the building stood takes detective work.
You don't have tax records you can go to. They're not plotted on maps.
This was Clayton Chapel, the remains of what's left of it.
The Historical Society relies on people like Amanda,
Here's the steps.
who grew up knowing these old rocks
Oh, look at the detail.
were where black parents and grandparents graduated.
Wow.
Out of the more than 5,000 Rosenwald schools built across the South, 14 were in Okfuskee County.
1919, he bought 120 acres.
So kids like Amanda's dad could do their farm chores and then walk to class.
It was a serious because we had to feed the family.
I was a rancher before I knew I was a rancher.
Agriculture is still in their blood. Amanda's brother is working toward opening a meat processing plant.
My roots and where I felt about things in life is this is where I belong. That's where I want to raise my family.
But right now, it's not enough to feed the family. It's why so many don't stay in Boley.
We're having some good times, but we're also in some really difficult times too.
By continuing to live and work here, the Bradfords hope to preserve a way of life for black Oklahomans in Boley.
Some have been known to
The town now celebrates part of their past with a plaque,
my trouble.
It's beautiful. I'm grateful for everyone that helped.
a sign that talks about the Rosenwald schools.
So together we will create.
But Amanda sees it as a sign that preserving history
Booker T.
creates a future.
So I want to be a part of the future.
In Boley, Katie Eastman, Oklahoma Zone, News on 6.